Today I'm here with Dong. I thought he would be perfect to have on the show because his English is so much better than my Khmer, and he pronounces things so clearly. You want to give a little bit of an intro to yourself?
Hi, my name is Dong. I'm from the province of Croce. It's northeast, and I grew up in a small town called Chlong. Yeah. I have one brother and two sisters. I almost forgot. I grew up there, and I came from a pretty poor family. And now I'm living in Phnom Penh, the capital city of Cambodia. Yeah, I work here as an English teacher. I teach English to Cambodians, and I teach Khmer to Westerners who live here.
It's hard to find your accent, so that's a really cool thing. I thought you were from the States. That's right. When we had lunch together the first time. I'm going to ask Dong some questions, and it'll just be kind of interview style. We'll see where the conversation goes. Dong is a Christian, and I thought it would be really cool if you could share with us what is Christianity like here in Cambodia, and what is it like for you to be a Christian here in Cambodia?
From my personal experience, people view Christianity as a Western God, a Western religion. People look at it as, if you become a Christian, then you switched from your own religion, because the religion here is Buddhism. So that's how people look at you. If you become a Christian, you changed your religion, and now you're following a Western God. And they also find it very hard to grasp that, because we already have a religion here, and why do we need to do that? Why do we need to follow another God?
So for you, do you feel like God is a Western God?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah.
So what helps you see it that way, or how do you see it?
It's probably, I think it stems from studying the Bible and being taught correctly, and learning more about who Jesus really is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and learning the character of God.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What were your first experiences with Christianity here in Cambodia?
Well, like I said earlier, I grew up hearing people say that, if you become a Christian, if you be a part of that religion, you're supposed to forget your parents, you won't take care of them when they're older, and that is such a major part in my culture. When your parents get older, you have to take care of them, because we don't have, like assisted living care like in rich countries, yeah. And that is such a big thing in Cambodia. And so because I was told that, I had such hatred, for Christianity, and I became very, I think also bitter, and and I remember being very angry when I heard that.
Yeah, I think I would be too.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your testimony? How did you come to know God, and how did that change for you?
When I got older, maybe when I was 12, 13, there was a pastor in my hometown, and he was there teaching the Bible, and I had heard about him, and it was the talk of the town, because back then people still looked at Christianity like that, if you become a Christian, you won't take care of your parents, and then some of my friends got converted, and they were very bold, actually, they were very bold. They would come to school and preach the gospel to people. They would preach to me, and me and other people who weren't Christians were making fun of them, and laughing, and so Yeah. And then after that, there was a family from South Carolina. Yeah. They came to my hometown. They were visiting. And during that time, I really wanted to learn English, and I couldn't really speak any English. I could say maybe a few sentences. That was it. I met them, and I wanted to speak English, so I went over and spoke with them, and we got along. Yeah. And then I met their kids. I became very good friends with their kids, and I was with them every day. Yeah. And then one day they asked me if I wanted to study the Bible. Yeah. They told me they were having a Bible study with their landlord and his family, and I didn't want to study the Bible at all, but in my culture, you have a hard time saying no. Yeah. That's like you have to be courteous. Yeah. So because I felt like I couldn't say no, so I said yes. Yeah. So I went along, and then I sat there, and I just kept listening to this American guy teaching the Bible, and he was teaching us about salvation, and there's only one true God, and I remember sitting there having an attitude that how dare you come into my country and claiming that your God is the only true God. Yeah,
totally. I would say
I was very offended by what he said. Yeah, so I remember sitting there thinking that how dare he. I thought he was really off base. Yeah. And then I thought that was it. I thought it was like a one-time thing. That's why I said yes to go into the Bible study. And then I was there again the next Sunday, and they asked me again. So I felt like I couldn't say no, and I just kept going. Yeah. And then, and I got to know the family. They had, sharing with me their testimonies, and they started telling me stories about what God has done in Christians' lives. And the more I got to know them, the more I asked them questions. And later on I was interested in their faith. Yeah, I could tell that their faith was real. Yeah, and they weren't what I had thought them to be. I just assumed that these people came to my hometown because like Christians in America must have paid them a bunch of money to come here and do this work and try to convert people. Yeah. And when I realized that they weren't like that, I became interested in their faith, and I asked them questions about Jesus. I asked them questions about salvation. Yeah. And then after I asked them all the hard questions, I had a better understanding of who Jesus was, and I understood the message of salvation. And one time my friends, the family, they went back to the States, and I was staying at their house. I was very good friends with their cleaner, and she had to stay there and look after the house, and we were very good friends, so I went there and I spent the night there. And I was lying in bed thinking I should try this and see what will happen. And then I lay there thinking, what if I pray right now and ask Jesus to come into my life and see what will happen? Yeah. And then I felt like before I prayed the prayer of salvation, I was so reluctant. Yeah, I felt like something was stopping me from doing it. So it was such a battle. Yeah, and maybe I think I changed my mind 5 times. And then finally I just said, Jesus, if you're real, if you're really the only true God, I want you to come into my life right now. And right after I prayed that prayer, I just knew I was different. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but after that prayer, I knew I was different, and I just I was so shocked, and I was thinking, wow, something just happened after I prayed that prayer. This is real. Like what they had been teaching me was real. Yeah. And then after I prayed that prayer, I emailed the family and I told them that I had accepted Jesus as my Savior, and they were very happy. And then after that, they started discipling me, and teaching me more about God. And also, I've noticed one thing that was so major to me was before I became a Christian, I was a devoted Buddhist. I really believed in karma. Like Buddhists, they burn incense, they pray to their ancestors, they pray to angels, they pray to God, and they pray to Buddha. And I did all that. I burned incense. I had strong faith in my ancestors and in Buddha. But while I was doing all of that, I never really had a connection with my ancestors or with Buddha. And then after I prayed that prayer, asking Jesus to come into my life, my faith in God was so much more real and so much more intimate that that was the evidence to me. And even to this day, I've been challenged by non-Christians. I've met people who don't believe in God at all. They have challenged me, and I've had doubts. I still have doubts, but I always go back to that night, the night I prayed that prayer, and I always go back to the fact that my relationship with God is so intimate and so real, and nothing can take it away from me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing. That's great. What are some of those things that you do on a daily basis or weekly basis that really keep you grounded in God and in that relationship?
I talk to God every day. I pray. I ask Him to help me with my job. I ask Him to help me with me doing errands. I ask Him to help me forgive people and be nice to people. And I also ask Him to help me take a stand. And when people challenge me, I also ask God to help me be bold and not be afraid to really speak what I believe with people.
Yeah. That's cool. So, going back with the taking care of your parents thing, so it makes absolute sense. If you love God, you'd better take care of your parents. You better love your parents even more than if you didn't believe, I guess. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that fits with your beliefs and taking care of your parents?
Well, the Bible clearly tells us to take care of the poor, and God tells us to look after people, and He tells us to love people
and honor our father and mother.
Right? Honor our father and mother, and He instructs us to love people, to forgive people, and help those who are in need.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Another big thing in some of the other cultures that I've worked in, that some parents are afraid that if their kids become Christian, then somehow they're not going to be taken care of in the afterlife. Is that a fear that maybe some Khmer parents might feel?
I don't think so. As far as I'm concerned, no, I haven't heard of that.
So let's conclude. If you had one thing to tell Khmer people about Jesus or about faith or Christianity, what would it be?
I think I would zero in on the fact that he's real. He's not just some spirit out there that you don't even know. But he's so real, and you can be very close to him, and it can be it's just intimacy with God. That's what I really want to get across to people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate you sharing. I think it's going to be really encouraging to people in the States as well as in Cambodia.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. All right, chào mừng Catch you next time. Awesome. Thanks. That's great.